sucks. It's a terrible game. 0 out of 10. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are reading bad Metacritic reviews of Tears of the Kingdom. I haven't read these yet, but I can only imagine what people are saying about this game. If you haven't noticed or known, Tears of the Kingdom is getting review bombed pretty heavy for whatever reason. So today I'm going to read these and I'm going to see like if any of these changed my mind about my scoring. If you didn't know, I score this game like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. I really do think it's that good. And, you know, for what they were able to do, I think it's great. Also, I love the Breath of the Wild formula. I feel like people are going to bring that up. It's not classic Zelda, you know. But anyway, let's go. Starting off with Yarhar707. Gives this game a 5 out of 10. First of all, a 5 out of 10 is actually insane. Like, that is a crazy score. I've played really bad games that I wouldn't even give a 5 out of 10. So let's just see this. They say 6 new bosses, 6 new enemies. That's 2 enemies per year of dev time. Wait a second. There's more than, okay. There's more than 6 new bosses and there's more than 6 new enemies. So that's factually wrong. Bosses are just generic shoot the eyeball, and then the boss staggers for 20 seconds. Again, not true. Dungeons are just 5 shrine puzzles stapled together. Okay, I'll give you that. Sky Islands look cool, but are 5% of the game map. Probably a little more. Most of them just have a move the green crystal to the shrine using a Gary's mod plane. Underground is barren wasteland with just red sludge, darkness, and reskin enemies. They really work 6 years on this? How is that possible? So besides the clear misinformation of this, I don't know. I don't think this world compared to Breath of the Wild is as barren. I think there is quite a lot to do. And the underground, if you are saying that the underground, there's not a lot to do, you clearly haven't explored a lot of it. 5 out of 10 is just crazy. That's pretty insane. Okay. Next one is from Adrenaline Matt, who gives this game a 7 out of 10, which I think is definitely on the lower scale, but okay, let's hear this out. Incoming spite and review bombs, because the world is genuinely just devoid of joy now. I have no idea how one could play this game and not be returned to that nostalgic wonder only experienced in childhood years. Wait, do you like this game or do you not? Wait, that's exactly what's on offer here. This is character development, okay? Do they like it or not? And of course, a game this good attracts angry, jaded human beings. And if you're still even remotely happy in life, do yourself a favor and pick this up. It will only increase your happiness as it has mine. During a particularly difficult time in my life, this has been a godsend. I adore it. And it has put a smile on my face during a time in which I didn't think was possible. Ignore the ridiculous reviews. Buy the game, realize this is what gaming is all about, and have fun. 10 out of 10, easy. You gave it a 7. I guess you're defending it? 7 out of 10, easy 10 out of 10. All right, next up is Misa ZX. They give the game a 5 out of 10, and they say, it's an amazing game. Why? Because it's extremely similar to Breath of the Wild. What is wrong with that? It's extremely similar to Breath of the Wild. This game was ready years ago. They were just waiting for a good time to release it. Okay, so you're saying Breath of the Wild is an amazing game. You're saying this is very similar to Breath of the Wild, assuming that you're meaning that makes it less fun or less interesting. Your main complaint was the release time and day. That's a weird criticism. I think this is the perfect time to release this game. There's really nothing out right now. There is like Pikmin 4 coming out later this year. I think this is a great release time. I really do. Similar to Breath of the Wild, and you give it a 5? I don't know. Just seems weird. Next up, Greaser Pirate gives this game a 5 out of 10 and says, best game I've ever played. Love all the new moves and the size of the worlds. Great game. This person is a very harsh critic because the best game they've ever played is still a 5 out of 10. All right, next up is Juan. And a bunch of numbers. Overhyped game. This is Breath of the Wild 1.5. Graphics technically the same. Controls suck. The new gluing / weapon fuse thing is a waste of time, not fun after the first 10 minutes. Weapons break after 5 hits. WTF. Where's the fun, I'm assuming? I would say this is a wait for a deep, deep sale, but we know Nintendo will never drop the prices on their overrated franchises. Okay, graphics basically the same. I'll give you that. I do think the graphics are a little more enhanced. I do see the biggest differences I see is the water textures. I really do think the water looks better. The sky obviously looks better. There's more detail. Let's see, the gluing weapon fuse thing, Ultra Hand. They say, what do they say? It's not fun after the first 10 minutes. I strongly disagree. I think getting the new Zonai parts, creating new vehicles and stuff, I really do feel like that never gets old. I don't think that that's a fanboy talking right there. I really do think experimenting in this game is great. Weapons break after 5 hits. That I can see being angry about the weapons. I think the durability should have been increased a little bit, or there should have been ways to fuse items that like never break or something. But I still like the fact that I have to experiment with different weapons. I actually do like that gameplay. Okay, we have our first 0 out of 10. By the way, before I even read this, to give a game a 0 out of 10, there's a lot of hate, okay? Realistically, I don't think I've ever played a 0 out of 10 game. I think a 0 out of 10 game would be a game that just doesn't turn on, or literally you can't control your character. Like, it would have to be unplayable to get a 0 out of 10. So already, I can't take you seriously. Okay, Awestruct says, the game reuses nearly everything from Breath of the Wild. Map is mostly unchanged. You still progress by collecting Korok seeds, completing shrines, and going to towers that unlock map fragments / act as waypoints. True. They totally overstated the presence of dungeons. Dungeons are essentially glorified divine beasts. Overall, it feels like a DLC, and for $70, it's absolutely not worth the price tag. Okay, some valid things brought up in this. Don't agree with the score, but let's talk about this. So they talk about the mechanics being the same, collecting Koroks, unlocking the map via towers. I do think that they couldn't get away with that in like a third game. I think that they do have to switch up the systems a little bit, but I still don't think it takes away too much. They overstated the presence of dungeons. Okay, let's talk about that line. They literally announced dungeons were in the game a day before the game came out. They were not hyping this up. They showed like little bits of cutscenes, but they didn't say what it was. I don't agree with that. If anything, they undersold the dungeons, I think. The price point, I'm shocked that it took this long for this to come up, $70. I do think it was a little bit weird for Nintendo to introduce this new pricing structure. If there was a game to be worth $70, a little bit more than normal, it would be Zelda, but I do think it is weird to introduce that. I knew people were gonna dislike that. Next up, Genji 1 gives this a 1 out of 10. Overrated sequel. It's just Breath of the Wild with some minor additions. And why are breakable weapons still a thing in this game? Okay, again, breakable weapons, I do see the frustration there. I don't think it's enough to take 9 points off the score, but it is annoying. Overrated sequel. They made their review on May 13th, so the game was out a day at that point. I don't think anything can be overrated after a day. The Metacritic scores I think they're at 96 right now. Maybe that's where you're coming from, but just like Breath of the Wild with some minor additions, false. That you did not play this game if you think it's minor. Next up, Jesus the Messiah himself came back. 0 out of 10. This game has all the problems present in Breath of the Wild. None of the issues were addressed, such as the weapon break system. Let me know in the comments, does that piss you guys off as much as the weapons breaking? I feel like is annoying, but there's always another weapon to pick up. I don't know. I do think it's annoying. I would like them to be a little bit stronger, but man, people hate it. This can be attributed to how mega fans of the first game calling Breath of the Wild a flawless masterpiece, so Nintendo didn't bother to fix anything. This game has the same map as the first and the same recycled animations. Same map as the first. Technically, yes. There's 2 other layers, though. Same animations. Some of the stuff is reused. The low score is because this is not what a Zelda game is. Again, we got this pathetic attempt to emulate a Ubisoft game, but with Zelda slapped on it. Had Nintendo chosen to make this a new IP, we would still have our classic 3D Zeldas, but the game would not have done as well. This is odd to me. This is not what a Zelda game is. This is literally a Zelda game. Whether you like it or not every game could be like Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker. Not every Zelda game has to be linear. I think the super hardcore Zelda fans need to realize that. I think this is just a new modern take on the series. And the whole thing about a new IP, that's just weird to put in a review. 0 out of 10. Next up is Distant Kingdom with the 4 out of 10. Definitely living up to the name. The press and journalist doesn't say something very bad about the game and is the immense amount of recycled material that it has and how mediocre it runs on the Switch. The amount of pop-ins is impressive. It's very frustrating that for $70, a large percentage of the game feels the same as the previous one, except for some playable gimmicks that also don't change the game experience for me. Okay, this was written May 13th as well. The playable gimmicks don't change the game experience for you. The fusing, the Ultra Hand, the Ascend, the Recall changes the game a lot. I don't get that. I don't really get that. The price comes up again. I will, you know, I guess I'll side with you on that. I do think it's worth the 70, but it is, again, strange how Nintendo just introduced that randomly. This is the thing that I'm surprised hasn't come up as much. And it's talking about how mediocre it runs on the Switch. And to that, I will say that I do think that the performance isn't perfect. There have been pop-ins. There has been some slowdown. The game just simply froze on me at a couple points. I'm interested to hear your guys' opinions in the chat. This is a very weird critique though, because they are working with what they have. You know, the Switch is from 2017. The chipset predates 2017. It's like if someone went up to you and said, "Hey, Pat, create this game, but you have to use this basketball." All right. And then someone reviews my game and they're like, I liked the game a lot, but I would have preferred you used a soccer ball. But wait, I had to use a basketball. Weird comparison, but that's kind of what it is with the Switch now. For what the game is, for how massive the game is, it's pretty damn impressive how it does run and how it can even run. 4 out of 10, very, very critical. And finally, Emily Ross gives it a 5 out of 10. I've honestly just been blown away by this game. They took the magic of Breath of the Wild and wildly expanded it. Okay? There's just more of everything. More dungeons, more bosses, more story, more side quests. The entire overworld was heavily expanded upon. They added the Sky Islands and the Underneath, both of which, particularly the Underneath, are vast and filled with loot. I had some concerns with this game. Why is it a 5? I was worried it wouldn't have enough content to justify it being a sequel or the hefty price tag, but honestly, they reworked and added so much, it feels like 3 games stacked together. 5 out of 10. So there you go. I thought it'd be fun to read some of the more critical reviews of Tears of the Kingdom. I myself have been really enjoying this game. I did a full video review. I gave it a 98 out of 100, which I think is very high. I probably would have given Breath of the Wild, looking back on it now, probably a 92, 93. I do love this game. I put in 70 plus hours. I've beaten the story on one of my files, and I really do think, although not perfect, it is very close to it. I think this is a good send-off for the Switch. I do think we're going to be getting a new console soon. Interesting. Let me know if you agree with any of these reviews, and try not to get hurt in the comments. 5 out of 10. Masterpiece.